All right, welcome to part 2 of my video series, Coffee Filter Face Masks. The first part on how to actually make face masks from coffee filters should be somewhere down below. You can watch that first or watch this and then go watch that, it doesn't matter. This video is going to be about how you can make some simple coatings for these masks, which will act to slow and even kill coronavirus. These are non-toxic and use ingredients that you most likely have around the house or can easily get. These will also absolutely work equally well, if not better, on real N95 or surgical masks for any healthcare professionals watching. First, a quick disclaimer. The following recommendations are made in good faith based on my understanding of current science. Much like a face mask made out of coffee filters, the following recipes should be viewed simply as an added layer of protection that I myself am employing, but should only be valued as much as the cost of the ingredients it takes to make them. I make no claims, explicit or implied, about their speed or efficacy at killing coronavirus. I will link in the description to a couple relevant periodicals that I'm drawing my information from, but I invite you to Google and research on your own. There's a wealth of patents and medical journals and biochemistry articles that await you out there, so knock yourself out. I am an ant on the shoulders of research scientist giants whose life work this is, and so I don't want to make any kind, I don't want to be any kind of source of misinformation. What follows is very much my amateur armchair scientist take. So there are 3 different levels of complexity based on what you have available and really how crazy you want to get with this. So I'll walk you through from the most simple to the most complex. First, just plain old table salt. You can dissolve 2 tablespoons of this in about half a cup of water, and this is a basic viricide. You dip your regular coffee filters in this and let them dry, and then you can make your masks. So after they dry out, there'll be salt crystals left behind on the surface of the filter, and how that works is, let's say a droplet of moisture lands on the mask, let's assume infected, it absorbs the salt, and after the moisture evaporates, all that's left is virus and salt crystals, and the salt crystals slice open the virus. Pretty cool. The second 2 come to me through another YouTuber, Remedylink, and who I highly recommend you check out. He's got lots of great suggestions and videos for protecting yourself in these times. He goes deep into coronavirus. And side note, if you like ASMR videos, you're in for a treat. Anyway, he's great. I will put a link to him in the description as well. Anyway, in one of his videos on this very same subject of making face masks, he makes them out of, I think, rags or t-shirts. He hipped me to a patent which showed how coating medical face masks in various solutions protected from pathogens, 2 of which were copper and zinc acetate. And as it turns out, these are very easy and cheap to produce. As I said, they're non-toxic, and just another added layer of protection. Now I want to be clear, I am not a chemist, so I don't really understand the mechanism and chemical reactions at play here between something like copper acetate and coronavirus. Best as I can understand, the zinc and the copper degrade 2 of the proteins in the virus, rendering it ineffective. But as I said at the top, if you want to know more, you can check out the papers in the link and Google to your heart's content. Now, from what I've read, studies suggest that it's really more on the order of hours that these solutions kill off similar viruses like H1N1 or SARS. So you really want to think of these as just another tool in the kit, not any sort of cure-all or some sort of force field that's going to protect you from the virus. But given that these masks are more porous, certainly can't hurt to add an active chemical barrier on there. Also, let's say that you are asymptomatic but infected, wearing a mask, which literally costs pennies to make and is coated with a viricide, is helping protect the general public. So it's a two-way street. So with that, let's get going. What you're going to need is a source of copper. You can obviously use pennies or any sort of copper wire like electrical wire. You want to use pennies though if you want to make both the copper and zinc acetate, because since 1983, excuse me, pennies are no longer pure copper. They're actually copper-plated zinc, which are precisely the two metals we're after. So you can file or sand off one side, and then you have access to both metals. You're also going to need some distilled vinegar and hydrogen peroxide. Now I haven't done it, but I believe you can make this solution with just the vinegar if that's all you've got access to. It just takes a lot longer, like maybe overnight. I'm not sure. The hydrogen peroxide and heating it really just serves to speed up the reaction. So to start, you're gonna take equal parts distilled white vinegar and hydrogen peroxide, let's say 1/4 cup each. And you're gonna heat them up in a microwave safe bowl. You can do this on the stove, but don't use metal cookware as it's reactive and you'll rust it. As I said, you can forego the heating altogether, but this reaction will just take a lot longer. Anyway, once that's heated up, add your pennies or copper to the solution and stir the mixture to promote the reaction. This will off-gas a little bit, so not a bad idea to open a window or do this outside. After about 25 minutes or so, you should see the solution turn blue, which will indicate the presence of copper-2 ions. Okay, so after about 25 minutes, the reaction should be done and you will be left with copper acetate, or if you've filed down the pennies, copper and zinc acetate. And you probably saw at the end of the time lapse there just how dirty and how many impurities there were in the solution. All I did to get to this stage was remove the pennies and then actually pour the solution through a coffee filter and then back into the bowl. So multi-purpose, handy coffee filters. So to this, all you want to do is just dip your filters, and then while they're wet, what's handy is to peel it apart, peel the seam apart in preparation for making the mask, because you get a nice clean part while they're wet. Now you can throw these in the dryer if you're in a hurry. They get kind of rugged and beat up, so I prefer to lay mine out and let them dry somewhere. And then after they're dry, you're ready to make your masks. Now, if you do want to use all three chemicals, the copper, the zinc, and the salt, you'll want to add the salt last and slowly after you've made the copper and zinc acetate. Otherwise, if you add the salt at the same time as the pennies, I think you make sodium peroxide, and what will happen is that will inhibit the reaction with the copper and it bubbles a lot more and off gases, and it's not really pleasant. All right, that's it for now. If anyone spots any inaccurate information in these videos or has suggestions for how to make them better, improve the viricide, the shape of the mask, whatever, hit me up in the comments below or refer me to your video on the subject. Please share this with your friends and family, healthcare professionals. I've been reading that even some hospitals are running low on real respirators. I don't know, maybe this can be some sort of stopgap measure for them if necessary. As I said in the last video, we're in a mandatory shelter in place. However, there's still a lot of people out there working in the world, work in the grocery stores, gas stations, pharmacies, journalists. So let's look out for them and make sure they have things like this to help keep them safe. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourself and each other.